Tech Central, and today let's look at an area that is fast growing. Now, blogs have become an integral part of online culture, and with the emergence of smartphones, everyone can be a content creator. Bloggers now have a say in agenda setting, exploring the free social media platform with a world of opportunities. The business to politics, from fashion to tech, blogging can be a survey way to develop your brand from your comfort of your living room or wherever you use your phone. But what does it take to be a successful tech blogger? Do you need to be an expert to blog? Welcome to Tech Central this morning, and to help us understand blogging, in the studio I have Kennedy Kachwana, the chairman of Bloggers Association of Kenya and founder of Kachwana Company. It's also an award-winning techie and founder of TechWiz, Martin Gashero, and Nzomo Mbithe, a founder of decodegirl.com and a software developer. Welcome, lady and gentlemen. And definitely blogging is something that has been on the increase. Let's start from the very basics, especially because we do know that our audience may be very diverse. There are those who definitely know what blogging is. There are those who may not even know what blogging is or what it starts. So let me start with you, Mbithe. What is blogging?
Blogging is basically a way to communicate with the world. You set up a website that is a blog, and different blogs have lots of articles where the bloggers post from a variety of things, as you mentioned, from fashion to technology.
Okay. Is blogging something that one has to basically go to school for, or is it something that, you just have a knack for? Like people who write books, they don't necessarily have to have gone to school, but they can do a story and have somebody who's now professional put it together. Is that the same as blogging?
Yeah, true. It's the same as blogging. Actually, most of the bloggers, they do it from their passion. They are passionate about what they are doing. And basically, they started off as a hobby. But obviously, now we have professional bloggers like, these guys you see here.
Okay. Martin, what is a professional blogger? And is there a difference between a professional blogger and a non-professional blogger?
I'd say a professional blogger is somebody who is blogging about their areas of expertise. So like now, if you're an engineer, you can start a blog about what it takes to be an engineer, the what you need to know about engineering, the life and times of an engineer. So that's now what a professional blogger looks like. A non-professional is somebody who's just talking about anything and everything, and they probably don't have an area of interest that they would, be known for.
Okay, so a professional blogger would be one who's basically concentrating on a profession, or at least is defining what they say and do.
Oh, actually, a professional blogger would now be somebody who's trying to make money out of it, making a career out of what they're doing. So you could be doing other things, like, you have a day job, you have a side hustle, or that is your main thing. But you really, you write, somebody writes checks, you actually put in work to get paid.
All right, Kennedy, what is it that inspired you to be a blogger? Or was it an accident?
I would say yes, sort of. Initially, when I checked from campus, we had a group where we used to share, a Google group where we used to share information about getting a job, opportunities out there. And after most of my classmates got jobs, the group became sort of, dormant. So I remained, just sharing from what I see, because personally I used to, I was a developer. Tech developer, and so I keep on sharing what I see, what I encounter, the trends out there. So with that, then it reached a point I realized I need to make this one. We go wider than being in a group. So that's when now I registered Kachwana.com and started blogging.
Okay, we'll come to the details of what it does and possibly how it gets that. But Mbithe, are you also one who deliberately got into blogging, or is it something that you realize, hey, this can actually work, and people develop interest in what you have to say?
For me, it was definitely very deliberate. And the reason I began my blog is because as a software developer, there are lots of people who approached me and asked me, how do I become a software developer? How do I learn programming? And for me, my approach to blogging is really about the community and really about helping people learn. So for me, it was very deliberate, and I really wanted to create a platform where people could go and learn tips on how to program, even programming tutorials, and really what it takes to be a good developer.
Okay, and what's the difference between blogging and possibly just posts? because you have, you know, Facebook and you have Instagram, you have all these social media platforms. Is there a difference between blogging and somebody who maybe just occasionally, you know, feels that they want to inform, educate or whatever and post something?
Yeah, the difference is basically in the platform. So as you mentioned, you have lots of different social media platforms where people can share their thoughts, but it becomes blogging when you set up, you know, a website, whether it's a free one like a WordPress or a Blogspot, or whether you actually pay for premium hosting and collect all your articles and thoughts into one big blog, basically.
Okay, and let me come to you, Martin. And the thing is, how does one change this now, or how do you deliberately make it a money-making exercise as opposed to just informing people and they are happy to have free education?
Well, it starts with, you know, first understanding how to run a business. You need to have a product that people will want to pay for. So who is your customer? The person who wants to reach the people that you're speaking to. So you ensure that you have the variables, just like the average business. So your customers are the people who want to pay for an audience, and your product is what you're positioning in front of an audience. And if you design something that people will be interested in, they will now be loyal to you, and you will have something that you can sell to your advertisers. So now when you design that, then you start, you make a plan of how you will deliver. You can decide to be developing content once a week or once a day or even very regular. So there's blogs, you know, like fashion bloggers can do an article a day or a week and talk about their experiences. And with that, you will find a way of positioning, say, brands or other products that you can sell. You can even decide to sell your own stuff and you will be blogging about them. Or you can sell, you know, advertisements for as content is developed for your audiences.
Okay, and how do you actually make the money? Because I mean, a social media platform is basically open to anyone to read, and I'm sure the more people read, the more followers or likes that you get on an article, the more it creates traction. But how do you make the money?
When you put content in front of people and they engage with it, you already have a product that you can sell. So that way you can say, you know, I reach this number of people, and if you place your product here and maybe I talk about it, these people will have an interest in it and maybe consume. So you basically approach, you know, you can design a proposal to a client and show them how you can add them value.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me just add something on that, because what now happened is, you know, the way media make money, it's basically almost the same thing. You have the traditional ad being put on the website, you have sponsored posts. Now people make money through social media, you know, you see campaigns, what we call influencers. And then there's affiliate marketing. So there are a number of ways.
There are a number of ways. What are some of those ways? I know there's influencing, where you can get an individual who's able to put a product out there and you're paid by a company. Is that the only way to make money?
Absolutely not. You can also make money, even not just from your own platform, especially for people who have expertise in programming. And I'm sure this is the case in a lot of other fields as well. You have certain people who have already set up the platform for you. For example, Scotch.io. It's a website that focuses on programming tutorials. And when you write programming tutorials for that website, they actually pay you money per tutorial that you write. So it's not just about setting up your own blog and making your own money through your platform. Even if you don't want to set up your own blog, you can definitely make money writing articles for another person's blog.
Do you think blogging is something that is kind of ingrown, in the sense that there could be somebody watching this program right now and maybe they're not employed and they feel that, hey, if there's money out there, I have an internet connection, I can make money? Or is it something that you need some kind of knowledge to perfect the art so that it's not just for anybody out there?
I would say it's a bit of a mix of both. Blogging is definitely something anybody can do. As I mentioned before, you have free platforms like WordPress and Blogspot, where anyone can pretty much just set up a domain and begin writing articles. But if you want to be very successful, I would suggest that you learn something and pick a niche and become very good at that thing, and then start to actually write tutorials and articles about that. Further to that, if you feel that you don't actually have a natural talent for writing, it's always a good idea to run that through somebody, whether that's, you know, a professional editor or a friend that you consider a much better writer than yourself.
All right, Martin, what makes a good blogger and what makes a successful blogger? And the difference here being, you can be a good blogger, but maybe you're not interested in making money. It's just something that you do as a hobby. You could be having one that's successful, that is very targeted at what they do. They're very deliberate in what they're trying to do.
Well, a good blogger is somebody who's able to express themselves in their area of interest. So if you're talking about tech, you can, you can you can digest technology and present it in a certain way that people will find value in your writing. And a successful blogger is somebody who can be able to package that and make it, sell it to advertisers. So once you keep reinventing the product and designing a way that the product will be useful to both your readers and your advertisers or your clients, then you have a successful blogger there.
All right, Kennedy, earlier on we had what we were looking at, and it's our education system. And our education system needs to change to cater for the needs that we have today. Do you feel that possibly IT and information technology and things like blogging is something that needs to be introduced in the system, albeit whether it is by choice? Like how in school we used to do, you had a choice to do French or German or whatever. Maybe that there needs to be that space created.
Yeah, true. Look at it this way. For example, when you're writing an email, how do you write official email? Official letter, we know how to write it. But if you go to official email, most people have no idea what they do. Whether do you start with hi? Do you start with dear? You get that point.
Is there a difference between an official email and an official letter?
That's the point, because in a normal sense, letters, we used to have official letters and, friendly or, informal.
Familiar, informal.
Yeah, something like that. But emails now become, so there are people who just go, like the way you tweet and you're writing official email. Maybe you're applying for jobs. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we needed to see how to incorporate some of these things. And I was doing training for some teachers some time back about blogging. And one thing I was saying is some of these things, as a country, we needed to start, setting the standards and looking at them. And of course, the technology. And I was glad that we were trying to introduce them. Computers in schools. I feel that that's area that we need to discuss more, because probably the way it was introduced might not work well, but it's something that we can perfect such that going forward you find that kids start learning computers and things like blogging at earlier age. As BEC, actually, we have done a lot of training within the university settings, colleges, and even high schools about blogging, and we feel that it's better if people learn some of these things from that point, because some of us just started, as a hobby without, so you can say, yes, it's easy, you can do it, but everything has to have some standards. Everything has to have some, guidelines on how to do it properly. Because sometimes I see people just, because you're a blogger, you start off by just copy-pasting stuff from people's blogs. And there are do's and don'ts in such settings.
All right. One of the big things that has happened with the internet age and information age, and with what is now known as the millennials, I forget the ones after the millennials, what they're called, but anyway, that's a story for another day, is to do with, first of all, professionalism, language, just simple things that we were taught in school, like what he has referred to, writing of an official letter. Now, when it comes to blogging, is it informal or is it formal? Is there language that possibly is allowed, others that is not allowed? Because if I'm blogging and I'm writing, say, about a story about my life, I could choose to use language that may not be acceptable to other, age groups or people of different persuasions.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would say it really depends on who your target audience is. Blogs do not always have to be formal. In fact, in a lot of cases, they're very informal. And at the end of the day, it's your platform and it's your opportunity to figure out what you want to do with it and what messages that you want to pass across, and that does include things like language. So if your blog is informal in nature, then feel very free to communicate the way you would to a friend or as informally as you wish. But it really just depends on the kind of platform that you have and your target audience, really.
Your advice to maybe the millennials in terms of just watching language, because, you know, we have text message language,
right.
which is very different from what you write, and I don't know whether it's different now from blogging. For instance, you'll have somebody write to you an email, and instead of U-R-Y-O-U, then A-R-E, they just put a U and an R. Are there guidelines that, you know, guide blogging?
Absolutely. So I think in the best of cases and in the most ideal cases, one would definitely not use the kind of shorthand that we use for texts and tweets, perhaps. It's very nice to use, you know, full words and full sentences. Always very nice to keep, you know, grammatical rules and spelling in check as well. So that's definitely recommended. I would advise anybody who's looking into going into writing a blog to pretty much stick to, you know, standard and conventional English as opposed to something that you would send to a friend over text. But then again, it really does depend on the platform.
On the content.
Yes, and on your target audience as well.
All right. Martin, coming back still to the money-making aspect, is this something that one can make as a career?
Absolutely. I actually get paid off blogging. My day job.
You do that full-time?
Yes, and I do have a team that, you know, we work together with. So, okay. Yes, it's indeed, you know, when I was starting up, there wasn't actually anything you could call a career in blogging in Kenya. The only places we were looking up to in the US, in the UK, and other, you know, developed markets. They already were ahead of us and doing those things. In Kenya, bloggers were, you know, hobby writers. You know, you're talking about maybe ranting or talking about your experiences. And, you know, I just started it up with no idea whether it was going to convert. And now we're here. TechWiz has a team of 8, and, you know, we all depend on the revenues of TechWiz to, you know, pay bills.
All right. And you agree that it's something that you can actually do a career out of, you can make a career out of?
Yeah, and you know, I'm proud of that, because that's one thing that from big perspective we have been pushing to, you know, have, you know, blogging grow. And yes, there are many of them who are now, you know, doing it full-time and making money out of it, and even, you know, creating jobs. So when you say TechWiz has 8 writers, that is, you know, a huge number of guys being employed by one blog.
And totally depending on a blog.
Depending on that. So if you take that to, you know, a number of, you know, other bloggers creating jobs like that. So you realize that, you know, this is a space that whether you are just starting from campus, you can still do it. And that's the great thing about internet. It's huge. The opportunities are many. And if we take it seriously, especially the young people, then you know, before you get that formal job that, you know, most people are looking for, this is something that you start you off, and it's not hard to, you know, as long as you're passionate, as long as you understand what you are, you know.
All right, and maybe just to get an idea of what you all blog about, and, you know, good manners dictates ladies first, just to tell us what your blog is all about, and possibly how you know, how you found the market, and what advice you'd have as we wind up.
So I started Decode Girl, like I mentioned earlier, to mainly reach out to the community and provide guidance and tips to anybody who's looking to, you know, begin a career in technology, specifically being a programmer or a software developer. And that's pretty much how I began, and I started off by writing tutorials mostly for other platforms that used to pay me to do that. And then I figured, you know, why not just do this myself? Why not collect all these articles into one central location where everybody can come and see content from me in particular? And just recently I actually launched a YouTube channel as well, which follows up on the blog and kind of covers things in more detail, and of course from a video perspective as well.
Okay, and where can we reach you?
You can reach me at decodegirl.com. You can find links to my YouTube channel. You can find links to my Twitter, my Instagram, and on all social media, I am Biden Zomo.
And Decode is just the D, then code?
D-E-C-O-D-E-G-I-R-L.
Okay. All right. And yes. Yourself?
So you ask what I blog about. So basically what we do is we talk about technology in Kenya and Africa. And we look at the policy perspective of technology, the government aspect, what you need to do as a country to move forward. Also, we look at the business aspect, what tech is helping in terms of the business in the country and, you know, Africa in general. Of course, I can be found in, at Kachwanya on Twitter, Facebook, and kachwanya.com.
Which is actually showing on the screen right now. Thank you. And yourself, Martin?
I started TechWiz as a blend of both passion and an idea that is going to be an opportunity sometime further on down the line. And at TechWiz, we write on everyday tech. So the personal tech that you're consuming, how you use your smartphone, what choices you're going to make when you're making any personal tech, and also any, we do tech business, so like we profile startups, we talk about the intricacies of running tech businesses in Kenya and around the world. And our domain is techwiz.com. We have a YouTube channel, we have Instagram, we have a Telegram channel, and, of course, on Twitter.
Okay. Maybe finally, your advice to a prospective blogger, what is the advice that you tell them, maybe hinged on what experience you've gone through?
First of all, you need to start with what you are passionate about. Look at areas that, interest you. So if you are somebody who, read or talk about technology all the time, that would be, like she's a programmer. So that would be something that, it's easier.
It's an easy place to start.
Easy place to start and easy place to succeed. But the problem with doing content, it's not easy. People think it's easy, but it's hard. So you need something that comes naturally. So that I'll say, start with something that you are, or area that you are, you are passionate about. At the same time, don't overthink it. It's what your readers or what everyday normal person looking for. Yeah, so look around and see what's going on around you. That's what people want to know.
That's what people want. All right, be there words of advice?
I actually have a couple of things to say. My first would be consistency is key, and it's definitely something that a lot of people struggle with, especially if you have another job, such as myself. I struggle with consistency, but it really does keep people coming. And my second thing is, do not underestimate how far your blog can reach. I regularly get, messages, emails, Twitter messages from people, halfway across the blog telling me, I read your programming tutorial. It really helped me out. Now I have developed my first website with Python or with Flask, and it's such a great feeling. So also be prepared to launch a platform that is multicultural, that can reach people from different countries and different societies as well.
All right, and Martin, contextualizing, I guess, is a huge thing, because if I blog, I may restrict myself. For instance, if I blogged in Sheng, then I kind of close the doors of others, getting into the blog. And your words of advice as we close?
Well, I think you can still do that if you believe your niche or your audience is big enough to sustain whether you're going to make it professional. If you think it can sustain it, go ahead and do it. At the end of the day, the most important thing is to do something that you're very much at home with. That deals with consistency problems. If you have a passion about what you're writing about and not writing the ideal, and probably even struggling at it, you will be able to keep at it and develop content that people will have an interest in, because you're coming from, I know this, I'm telling you because I know about it. Now, when starting up, just get a place where you're comfortable, and also, again, you will need to understand whether there is an audience for that. You can talk about robots in Kenya, and probably people are not, there's a very small demo that we'll be interested in. So if you're going to be professional about that, then you will struggle.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on Tech Central this morning. That is Mbithe Nzomo, who's a software developer. We have Kachwana Kennedy and Martin Gashero. Thank you for joining us this morning on Tech Central. And that's where we wind up the show. It's now 10.